Hi. The current discussion seems to be about the quick change tool post. I bought this from Little Machine Shop, and I've been very satisfied with it. This base here is steel, and it's a wedge type, which is mostly recommended. The tool holders, I don't have any problems with them except for the little set screws. They use a tiny this is a dog point set screw and a small Allen wrench, and I know this is import, but it doesn't it fits loosely in the set screw, and it slips by, and I haven't purchased a replacement. I bought some 6mm by 20 cap screws, and they work fine. They won't work in the the middle too, because the cap hits on the adjustment nut, and I haven't done anything to change that around. I'm pretty satisfied with the different tool holders. There's another one that'll fit on the back. My big objection, or my problem with this fitting on the back, is I got to play with things to get it to go down into place because of the handle, and I haven't been able to change that to make it work better, but it does work. I usually hit it like that to lock the system up, and I'm satisfied with that. It works okay. The boring bar holder, it'll hold a 3/8 in the adapter and the 1/2 inch, and this works well. The multi-fix will accept bigger boring bars. However, this is a small lathe, so it works. The supplied knurling tool sucks, I gotta tell you. The mini lathe, these knurling tools require a lot of pressure, especially in the steels, to get a knurl. Excuse me. I'm going to buy one of the pinch type knurlers, but I haven't done that yet. I really like the cutoff tool. And as you can see, there's an angle here, so that's built-in rake. So when I sharpen this tool, I set it on my grinder and just slide it straight into the wheel. It doesn't require anything on top, just a quick touch, and then a little hone on top to get rid of any burrs. And it really works nice. I like this a lot better. I had a lot of problems with cutoff operation with the original cutting tool holder, which is flat. The tool went straight into the work, and it worked, but it didn't work as well as having a positive rake on the tool. And I use this a fair amount. This is a little ball bearing bumper that I made, and I just bring this into the work, and it knocks the part straight in the jaws. Then I have to retighten everything. This is a 4-inch chuck. My main problem with the 4-inch is the additional distance away from the spindle. These spindles are not high strength steel as far as I'm concerned, so they flex a little bit. There is a 4-inch spindle available that this 4-inch chuck would go straight onto without the adapter. There you go. I mean, I've always regarded this as a kit lathe, and I've spent a lot of time and money to try to correct issues with the thing. One thing I want to comment on is when I'm doing any turning at all, I try to keep the post directly over the compound mount. Those of you that have mini lathes are familiar with how the compound is mounted on these things. As you can see, I added extra set screws to try to increase the stability. If you crank this way over, you're just increasing the lever system on the mount, and you get bounce, you get deflection in the tool. So try to keep it over the center as much as possible. I bought the carriage lock from a little machine shop, and this is very satisfactory, except for getting chips into the lever. You have to remove it to mount the following rest, and it's difficult to do anything to keep the chips out of this area. I noticed some people have made chip trays or chip covers that mount on these bolt holes and keep the chips out of the ways, and I think that's a pretty good thing. It doesn't work with this installed. You got to do something different. A while ago I bought a magnetic wave file or wave cleaner, wave scraper, and that was not satisfactory. The magnets attract chips, and the little felt pads get gummed up and dirty pretty quick, and they're easy to knock off the carriage. That's about all I've got to say. I bought this from a little machine shop. I'm very satisfied with it. I did mention multi-fix, and if you watch A-Bomb 79, he uses a multi-fix a lot, and I like the adaptability, the maneuverability of that, and it does seem to lock up very hard, very solidly. They have multi-fix has a version that would fit on a mini lathe. I don't know if I mentioned it. I bought a lowered, well, it was a kit to lower the tool post, and I like that because it gives you more room around the parts. I do some stuff that's pretty oversized. As you can see, I bought the kit that extends the travel. This works pretty good. I can even get it cranked over and work on the back side. For some operations, there's a lot of travel there. I bought there's a, whatever you call it, carriage that's got 2 T-slots in it. And I never mounted it, and I never used it. I didn't think that it would be very satisfactory. I still got it, and I may mount it up to see how it works out. I bought this mounts where the compound mounts the hole. That's obvious, but it looks solid, but it's actually pretty flimsy. I cannot recommend it. I did some milling operations with it when I made a steam engine kit. Mounting the part in here is tough. And it's I only milled brass in it. It's well, it works, but it's not very satisfactory. You're limited to very thin, very small cuts. If you're really interested, I'll mount it up and do a video on that. Overall, the lathe is just too small, too flimsy. I've always called it a kit lathe. It requires a lot of tinkering to make it work right. I had one problem with the power supply. I shipped it off to a guy recommended by a little machine shop, and he did the repairs on it and shipped it back to me for $60. After it come back, I had to replace the speed rheostat. He didn't notice or didn't change it anyways. I had to replace it. I was having trouble with twitching, and before I set it off, it actually was a total failure. I couldn't turn the lathe. I put the metal gears in the headstock, and yeah, I hear them run. I hear the gear noise, but it's not objectionable. And as I run it, the gear noise is gradually reducing a bit, so it's wearing in. One of these days, I'll pull the headstock off and clean out the gears and the grease and whatnot. One of the guys, Myford Boy, I think is his name on YouTube, made 2 holes in the top so he could squirt oil in there and made plugs. I don't know if it's worth it, but I may do that. That way I don't have to totally disassemble the lathe to lubricate the gears. Lubricating the bearings, well, you lubricate them as you assemble it. And that's it. You got to really disassemble the headstock in order to clean and re-lubricate the bearings. So that part of it's kind of, it works, but not very well. I bought the angular contact bearings from Little Machine Shop, and they are actually ball bearings. The difference is in the races. That way the ball bearings can take axial pressure better than the old standard simple ball bearings. I think a better option would be the tapered rollers. They can take a lot more pressure, and I think they might end up with a more stable spindle. However, I don't know that I'll make that change. They've got a longer bed you can buy from Little Machine Shop, and it's a kit. You end up with what they call a 16-inch lathe. Rarely, once in a while, having the additional length would pay off. I bought a wood lathe a while ago, and the locking mechanism was an offset turned piece, and I did a couple of offset turnings on this, actually in the 3-jaw chuck, and it worked out well. I was able to get the right kind of offset. The problem being, even with high quality 8620 steel, it was too flexible. But the mini lathe did its job. It works. That's about it. I'm I guess I'm happy with the lathe for the size of it and what it is. I didn't want another handle on top, so I went for this is a high strength nut. When I bought this kit, they included a long stud to mount it, and I used that unmodified in the compound. Excuse me. Overall, I'm getting there. This is gradually improving. I bought some tools from Banggood with mixed results. If you search on Banggood for insert tools, you can find a bunch of tools really designed around lathes of this size, and some of the inserts don't seem to be the highest quality, but I haven't tried to buy from other suppliers. The size inserts kind of limits the suppliers. Most suppliers don't supply inserts in the really small size that these tools use. Well, I guess I've covered everything I wanted to say. So, there you go.